Hey guys, sorry about that. I was just whoa, what is going on here? All right, thought I had an echo. Oh, I see what's going on. Hang on a second here. Okay. Oh, yeah, there we go. Much better. All right. Hey guys, welcome to this channel. Welcome to I don't know. Maybe I should start calling this a show. Maybe give it a name. CJ2A. I don't know. Welcome. Anyway, since it's not really a show, it's just a something I do every now and then. But what I wanted to do today is go over a lot of the bills that have been filed already related to specifically to gun issues. As many of you know, I've in a weird. I haven't really shut down my firm, but what I'm doing is I'm making myself available full time as the in-house general counsel for Texas gun rights from now until June. And if there are any special sessions, obviously that will probably get extended. And the purpose is, of course, to fight for and against good gun laws and really just to get rid of as many as possible. So what I wanted to do, and for those of you that aren't in Texas, this might be a video that you don't want to waste too much time on, except that you might want to see what Democrats are up to, because if they're up to this here, they're probably up to this in your state as well. You need to be paid attention to some of the underhanded tricks that they're doing. So just kind of a disclaimer right up front that this video will solely be based on Texas bills that are filed. These don't affect any other state. They don't affect federal law. The things that I'm going to talk about. So, if you want to stick around, please do stick around, and you'll probably learn something about what's going on here. So let me go ahead and share this screen here and get this sort of over with. Let's do it this way. So I'm going to start with these bills. Now, I've got this folder where I've printed out up to date. You can see this is probably about a half an inch thick list of bills, unconstitutional bills that have been filed. Now, mine is in numerical order by bill number. So I think that might last for a little while, but I got there's so many tabs that are open that it was taking me forever to sort them on, up here, that I just gave up. And I'm like, okay, I'll start with one, and then I'll just move my way down and then find it in my book of what I've done so much. So anyway, hello to everyone out there. Thanks again for joining. For those of you that are in the chat, I can see you, but I probably won't be able to answer many questions. So if you have a question, and those of you who are here who stick around and you see people asking questions, just kind of remind them, I'm not looking at the chat right now. I will every now and then, because if there's a specific question about a bill, while I'm on it, I can answer it. Now, what I'll also ask you, if you do have a question about a specific bill that I'm talking about, because I'm not going to go over every single component of it, that would be a really long video. And I think as this is, I've slated about an hour for this, and then I've got to get back to work on legal stuff, other legal stuff. So if you've got a question, just say, hey, on bill number X, okay, and here's where you can find, wondering what bill is CJ looking at. You'll see this here is where the bill number is. So you can say, hey, CJ, SB 195, does that mean X? Does that mean Y? That way I know what bill you're talking about, and I can quickly go back to that, because I do have it numerically organized in my folder, and can go back to that. So let's go ahead and get started. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to click on the language of each of these bills and let you know what each of these bills does. The first one, and you're going to find that a lot of these are the usual suspects. You've got the Menendezes, you've got the Eckharts, you've got the Bernals, Reynolds, of course, and then the Goodwins. So pretty much the people who know the very least about guns are the ones that are filing all of these gun bills. All they know is that they're communists and their agenda matters more. And let me make this a little bit bigger for everybody, so that you can read along with me. Additionally, if you have a question, Initially, you'll be able to see the bill number on the top of the page that I'm talking about. If for some reason, we're scrolling down here and you don't know what bill number I'm talking about, just look at the URL up here. And so like this one is SB. You can see that right there. And it's SB 195. Don't worry about this I at the end. That's nothing. So just ignore that I.htm that you're going to see on each of these. But you can say, hey, CJ, I have a question about SB 195, SB 850, whatever. But that's how you're going to be able to track which one I'm talking about. And yes, Big Daddy does work 24/7 against the people. So we're going to get started with this. This is a bill that was enacted, or not enacted, excuse me. None of these bills are enacted. These are bills. And let me try and move my thing here so that I'm not, okay, what the heck is going on? Why won't this let me? Nope. I don't want to do that. I want to move it. Okay, I'm trying to move my screen here where it's not covering up text so much, but it's apparently not letting me. I'm sure there's a setting here I should have checked. Oh, nope, that's not it. Horizontal, vertical. Let's go do that. Nope. Okay. Well, anyway, let's just save that. Just call it that. All right. All right. You're stuck with this being down here, and I'll just make sure it's not covering the text. All right. So, yes, and actually, Space Miner, I actually am part of. If you go and look through all the filings and the lawsuits against Lujan Grisham, you will see that I have filed a bill with my Pro Hoc Vice attorney who's in New Mexico because he sponsored me, Pro Hoc Vice, that is, going up against her and getting, we actually got the injunctions against her on those gun bills that she was doing in Albuquerque. So I was actually a part of that. All right, so here's the first bill. This is Senate Bill 195. Essentially what this bill does is it creates a 30-day waiting period. If you intentionally or knowingly sell, rent, or lease a firearm to a person who is 18 years of age or older but younger than 21 before the 30th day, and so it's a 30-day waiting period for 18 to 21-year-old people. So if you're an adult and you're in the prime of your life where you're probably most likely to be killed by, in public, this bill would make it very difficult because you'd have to wait 30 days. So what's not included in here, there needs to be another section, of course. If you're threatened by somebody, you just need to tell them, hey, look, hang on a second. Give me 30 days, okay? Come back and find me in 30 days because then I'll be capable of defending myself against your attack. Can you do that for me, buddy? Can you wait a little bit? That's what this bill will do. Of course, if you're a police officer, there's an exemption. If you're in the military, there's an exemption. But yeah, you can rent guns. You can rent guns at gun ranges. A lot of them... but you usually have to rent them at the gun range. And the purpose of that is, let's say you're a new gun owner and you don't know what's good for you, what feels, what shoots right, what's comfortable in your hand. So a lot of these gun ranges will have a wide variety of handguns and rifles that you can rent and shoot at their range. It's not like you can rent and take them home. I haven't heard of that before. But you can rent them to get comfortable with them and do practice and all that kind of stuff. Or if you've got a gun at home that's really nice, but you don't want to shoot it up and all that, then you can go and rent and practice on someone else's gun and use that one up. So that's what this one does. This is SB 195. Let's go to the next here. Oh, that's SB 195 too. Oh, I see what I did. So every time I open it, it's going to open up two windows. This is SB 357. Let me move into my sheet here. And of course, Eckhart and Gutierrez. I've said this very often, despite the fact that she's an attorney. I think Eckhart's one of the dumbest people in the Senate that we have. And then you've got what's her name in the House? It'll come to me. Goodwin, I think, is probably one of the dumbest people in the House, and Eckhart in the Senate. All right. So this bill, SB 357, this is some of these bills, they look good, right? They might sound good. Now, keep in mind, every gun law is a violation of the Second Amendment. But you get a bill like this where they try to make it sound good, and it's reporting a stolen firearm, and you're required to report a stolen firearm, and you must do that within 24 hours of the time you became aware of the time the firearm is lost or stolen. So this is a bill where they're trying to make it a crime if you don't report that your gun was lost or stolen. And not only that, it creates limited liability for those people if you didn't report it, as if it's somehow different, right? Let's just say I report my gun stolen. It's not like, oh, okay, I know exactly where that's at now. No, you got to wait till it comes up on a crime scene, and then it's too late. So now look, it's always a good idea, if you can't find your gun. But here's the problem with these bills. You're supposed to report this within 24 hours after you become aware that it's lost or stolen, right? If you're a guy like me who has a ton of guns in different safes, and some of them are in boxes, some of them are not in boxes, so you don't know exactly. Look, I've got a list of all my guns, right? But I don't know exactly where they are. And there's been a time where I've been like, okay, where did I put this particular gun? And I think, oh my gosh, was it lost? Was it stolen? And of course, I don't have a lot of time. And so I don't have time to dedicate to going and finding this gun, because I know it's somewhere. I know I've got it somewhere. I've just got to go find it. So technically, yes, it's lost. But if I didn't report that, let's say it was stolen, and it's not until, because I've got trials back to back to back. And then I finally get around to, okay, I got to find this gun because I want to take it to the range, and I haven't shot this one in a while. Or so-and-so wants to see what it looks like when you go to shoot it. So I'm going to go grab it and let him use mine. Then now, let's say I find out that it is stolen, or it is actually lost. I'm like, oh, I don't know where it's at. Now, there's a benefit to me reporting that. The benefit is, for example, I go to these gun buybacks, and there was one gun that I purchased at a gun buyback. It was a handgun. It was a young guy. I don't know how old he was. He looked like he might have been a minor, but either way, he was young. He could have been old enough, at least 18 years old. I don't know. But his mother had brought him to this gun buyback. And of course, we're trying to buy all these guns out from under the government stooges. And he presents me with this Glock, and it works fine. It looks fine, but you can tell like the kick plate or the back plate on it is it's kind of banged up, like almost like it was used as a hammer, and just something didn't seem right. But the mom was like, "You're getting rid of this, and I got $100 for this $400 gun, so I paid $100 for it, and took it home, had the back plate fixed, and it was ready to go. But still, something did not seem quite right, and so I contacted a law enforcement friend of mine. I says, "Hey, man, I got this gun at a gun buyback. Something just seemed shifty about it. Plus, the way that the gun was jammed with the back plate, looking like it was used as a hammer. It had an extended mag in it, or with it, not in it. It had an extended mag with it. Can you just run this for me and make sure it's not stolen?" So he runs it. Sure enough, it comes back stolen. He tells me where the gun is reported stolen out of. I call up there to the law enforcement because I don't know who this person is. I can't find this person online. And I said, "Hey, I've got this gun. I bought it at a gun buyback. I'd like to get it back to the person who it was stolen from." And, they're like, "Oh, okay, well, yeah, just send it to us." I said, "No, I think you misunderstood me. I'm trying to get it back to the person from whom it was stolen. And I'm not going to give it to you. Oh, well, you're in possession of stolen property." I'm like, you need to read the law. It's not stolen. I'm trying to get it back to the person it belongs to. And I went through the elements of it. And I tell them, nope, you get me in touch with that person. I said, and if that person, you can give them my phone number. If that person tells me they want me to give it over to law enforcement, because I'm going to inform them of what your policy and procedure is and what they're going to have to do and the hoops they're going to have to jump through. If I give it to law enforcement, it's going to be a long time before they get it back. Because they're going to run it through tracing and see if it was used in any other crimes and all that other kind of stuff. I'd rather give it straight to that person and send it through an FFL. Now, I only lost $100 in that, but I felt good because I gave somebody back their stolen firearm. And I would want my stolen firearm returned to me if it turned up somewhere in a crime or something like that. I'm not one of those stupid, superstitious people that thinks that just because a gun was used in a crime, I shouldn't own it anymore. And so I don't have any problems taking back a gun that was used to commit some crime, because the gun didn't commit the crime. The person did. It's not my gun's fault. My guns have never committed a crime. So, anyway, so that's the good reason why you should just report a gun when you realize, oh crap, this is stolen. At that point, and by the way, that individual did contact me and said, yeah, I would prefer that you hand it over to the police. There are a lot of people among the oppressed who don't realize that they're part of the oppressed and will support their oppressors. And so I did end up getting I gave it to my law enforcement here, who transferred it to her law enforcement, and who knows what happened after that. I really don't care. I got the gun back, allegedly, hopefully, to the person that it belongs to. So that's what's wrong with these bills that mandate that you report them, because of these little words down here. Legally, this is going to be a problem. 24 hours after the time the person became aware the firearm is lost or stolen. Well, when is that? When did I become aware of it? Was it when I first went to look for it where I thought it was and it wasn't there? And then maybe I looked in my second safe, or my third safe, and it wasn't there. At what point are they going to charge me with that crime? And if I don't report it and they find out later kind of what happens, of course, that's why you just don't talk to the police unless you're just saying, hey, look, I don't know when it was stolen, but my firearm was stolen. I went to look for it and it's not there. Okay. So there's that bill. All right, let me close that out. Next one. Again, you've got Eckhart here. This is House or Senate Bill 356. And, this is just, so what a lot of people don't realize is you can go to another state and purchase a long rifle. You can go and you can purchase a shotgun. You can purchase a rifle. I've purchased a rifle in Montana before, but you cannot purchase a handgun. I don't know why. I think it's because they're more easily concealable. I mean, I don't know what the difference is, why I can't go to like Tennessee and buy a handgun. When I was in Virginia, going to law school, I wasn't allowed to purchase a handgun because I wasn't a citizen of Virginia, but I could purchase a rifle. What this bill does is it changes it in Texas where, because someone can come to Texas and buy a rifle if they wanted to, but they can't buy a handgun under federal laws. Well, this changes the word handgun to firearm. So, of course, it's just even more unconstitutional than the already unconstitutional law. But the Constitution does talk about interstate commerce. And if I engage in interstate commerce, i.e., I go to another state and I want to buy a handgun or a rifle or anything, the feds would be able to sort of make that determination constitutionally. Now, I think restricting it is, of course, against the Second Amendment. But you do have the Commerce Clause. That's exactly what it's meant for, is for me to go across state lines and buy something, not what it's been abused as. So just a bad bill overall. It just makes it harder for people to come to Texas, and law-abiding citizens to come to Texas and buy a firearm. Now, they try to say, oh, but CJ, this is only, for someone that they know is intoxicated. Okay, I'm sorry, but do you carry around a breathalyzer with you everywhere you go before you transfer a firearm to somebody? It's just stupid. Or, you're supposed to know that they were going to commit an unlawful act with it and all that kind of stuff. Again, this is just creeping tyranny. That's all this is. That's what Senate Bill 356 is. All right, next one, 355. Again, Eckhart. You can see that she filed a whole bunch of them back to back. And let me open up the text for this one. Now, what this does is it removes all of the signage and, like the 30-05, the 30-06, the 30-07 signage. Now, for those of you who are watching this video and you're not in Texas, historically, we have had what's called, it's Texas Penal Code 30.06, As you know, there's a caliber of ammunition called 30-06. It's a rifle round. So it's referred to as 30-06, section 30-06, section 30-07. And historically, there only used to be a 30-06 until 2015 when open carry was passed in Texas. Yes, only 10 years ago when open carry was passed in Texas. 30-06 bans if a store or a private property posts a 30-06 sign. It has to be in English and Spanish. It's got to contain very specific verbiage, and it means that you cannot conceal carry on that property. With the passage of open carry, 30-07 was passed, which is you can't open carry on this property. And so in order to ban guns back before constitutional carry, the business would have to have this giant sign, a 30-06 and a 30-07, because if you only had one of them, then you can do the other. If the store only had a 30-06 sign, then you could open carry there. If they only had a 30-07 sign, then you could conceal carry there. And really today, I think if you see the signs at all, a lot of times you're only seeing the 30-07. They just ask you not to open carry, or they don't want you to open carry. And then with constitutional carry that was passed in 21, or was it 2019? Time flies. They created 30.5. Now 30.05 is the typical old school traditional just criminal trespass statute. But what they did was they added a subsection down there where it's just criminal trespass. Like, you're allowed on the property. You're not criminally trespassing from the property, but the property owner doesn't want guns on his property, unlicensed firearms. And so they created also this 30.5 sign. What this does is it changes what those signs have to have. And it just says that the signs only have to say no firearms permitted on this property, right? Or the sign just has to say down here, where is it? No concealed guns permitted on this property. So it doesn't have to have the long language that used to be in there. And of course, it's got to be in the, a white background with black block letters. Now, this does change that. The current law says contrasting colors, or it contains a pictogram that shows on a white circle a handgun drawn in black ink with a red circle of at least 6 inches in diameter, blah, blah, blah. And then 30.07, of course, just says no openly carried guns permitted on this property. So it really simplifies the gun laws. And this is what it used to say. This is what it has to say right now. As the law stands right now, if you don't want to ban open carry, it's got to say all of this stuff, and it's got to be in 1-inch contrasting colors. I guess they do keep it in contrasting colors. Maybe they're just talking about this other part where the little pictogram or whatever. And it's got to be, so you've got this big giant, 30.07 sign, and then you've got this big giant 30.06 sign, which the only difference is it says concealed carry on it. And then in the 30.5 changes it to, this is what bans all guns may not enter this property with a firearm at all. So 30.5 covers licensed and unlicensed. And under the law currently, if they only have a 30.6 and they only have a 30.7, well, if you don't have a license, you're carrying constitutionally, you can still go on that property, not violating laws. Now, by the way, even if you go on one of these properties and you get caught, it's a $200 fine unless they tell you to leave and you don't leave. Then it becomes a Class A misdemeanor. So I have problems with this. Now, here's the thing that I don't have problems with. And I am all for property rights just as much as I am for gun rights. And I've approached these leftards and I've said, hey, look, for example, Pancho Cocaine Navarez had carried this bill long ago where he just wanted there to be this pictogram, where you could put a no gun sign. And I says, hey, look, I believe in property rights. I think if and I'm an extremist when it comes to property rights. I believe strictly in property rights. I think if a business wants to say whites only or blacks only or gay people only, they have that right to do that. It's their property. They can determine who they want to come on it. If they want to say no one above 5'5", because this place is for hobbits like me, then I think they can do that. I think it's free speech. I think it's a property rights issue. So I said, hey, look, I'll back these bills that get rid of these signs because, or gets rid of these giant signs that you have to have, because I think it's a taking under the Constitution. I think when the government mandates that you use up retail space like a window or a door or a wall to put up these giant signs, I think it's unconstitutional because it's a taking, and that's space is money for these businesses. But in order for me to back this bill, you have to remove the criminal penalties. I'm all for getting rid of the signs. I'm all for a business just being able to say no guns allowed here, or the little pictogram with the gun, and the red circle and hash through it. I'm all for that, but you have to do it like they do up in Oklahoma. It's just a suggestion. And if they tell you to leave and you don't, then you know what? You go back to the original language of 30.5. They don't want you there. They don't want you there. I don't care if they don't want you there because you're wearing purple. I don't care if they don't want you there because you're ugly. If they tell you to leave their property and you don't leave, it's criminal trespass, period. Just stick to that. Just stick to criminal trespass. Put the signs up. Okay, it's a great suggestion. And, if you're carrying concealed, no one's ever going to know anyway. But take out the criminal penalties. If you take out the criminal penalties, I will support all of these bills that get rid of these legal requirements for businesses to say, well, okay, you can violate people's right to defend themselves in your store, but one, you're going to be liable for their safety if something happens to them, and they could have defended themselves and didn't because of your policies. And two, you just have to tell them to leave. All right, so that's what Senate Bill 355 does. And again, I'm obviously opposed to it in this language. I am supportive of it if we remove the criminal penalties. And of course, I'll be going to these guys and saying, hey, if you're willing to get rid of the criminal penalties and just stick to the traditional 30.5 language, where if I tell you to leave and you don't, it's criminal trespass, I'm there. You've got me. Okay. Because it's not, I believe in property rights. I think people have a right to discriminate against anybody for any reason whatsoever. That's just my personal belief. I know the courts disagree with me, but I think true freedom and true liberty is that you have the right to be yourself. And by being yourself, others have the right to determine whether or not they're going to exercise their First Amendment right to associate with you. So simple. So simple. It's individual responsibility, right? All right. Next bill, 353. Again, Eckhart. This one is creates a universal background check. You cannot transfer a firearm, sell a firearm, give a firearm, do anything with a firearm without going through the national criminal, whatever. So in other words, in order for you to give a gun to somebody, sell a gun to somebody, buy a gun from somebody, receive a gun from somebody, you would have to go to an FFL and say, hey, Bob wants to sell Mary this gun, and Mary wants to buy this gun. Here's $30, $40, whatever the business is going to charge you to run a NICS check on that person prior to selling the gun. There's a bunch of bills like this year. This is the universal background check bill. Obviously, and all of these bills I'm opposed to as they're written. Okay. So every bill I'm bringing up right now, I'm opposed to as written. And I mean that because of the last bill. The way it's written, I like it because there's criminal penalties, but I still support it. So this is SB 353. It just requires you can't transfer or sell a gun to another person unless it's an FFL, and you got to go through them. And the FFL does the criminal background check in accordance with federal law, and then notify the person of the results. So, and then here's the thing. An FFL may collect a reasonable fee to run the check, right? So you're going to get charged even more. It's like another tax on your rights. And Eckhart and Gutierrez love to do everything they can to undermine your rights. All right, that's SB 353. Now we're going to go to my favorite, in a sarcastic sense, House Representative, which is House Bill 433 or 432, excuse me. You'll see this is one of many, but this is essentially the same thing, but it's the House version of a universal background check. I'm bringing all of these up. I'm not going to go into detail again with this because this is almost word for word like the Senate version. This is just the House companion. This makes it easier because for them to try and get these things passed, and if they have them in both chambers, they're more likely to get at least a hearing, and it'll probably die after that, if anything. And I'll make sure that it dies one way or the other. And of course, if it's brought to a vote, it likely won't pass even from the committee. And if it does pass through the committee, it's never going to pass calendars committee and get to the main body, much less because there's such a super majority of so-called Republicans in the House and Senate. All right, so that's House Bill 432 by Representative Goodwin. Here we've got Representative Bernal, which is 828. Let me move to my 828 folder here. This is a similar universal background check, but it's at gun shows. So this is where they try to incrementalize the violation of your rights. Instead of just doing like what Eckhart and Goodwin were doing, which is just require every transfer to go through a universal background check or to go through a background check or a NICS check. This bill, House Bill 828, only requires, if you're at a gun show, that gun show cannot permit private sales unless they go through a background check, through a NICS. So you've got to go to one of the tables and again, pay that reasonable fee, have them run a background check for you. But let me tell you something. I don't think a lot of these vendors are going to be doing that. Now, what will probably happen, this is a great way for some people to make money. If this were to pass, it's not going to pass. But if this were to pass, because if you go to gun shows, you see how busy these people are handling sales of their own. The last thing they have time for is Mary trying to sell her gun to Bob and needs the vendor to do a background check. And all he's going to get is his little $30 or $40 or $50, whatever he's going to charge for the background check to go through. But it's taking him away from all his other actual paying customers who are buying guns and making him more money. So I think what you're going to have is vendors specifically who are FFLs who do nothing but, hey, are you doing a private? Again, if this passes, it's not going to pass. Hell, that might be something I make money on, is going there. No, I'm not going to do that. I would never. Yeah, I just don't believe in these. Anyway, that's what Bernal's bill does. House Bill 828. Now we move to 857. Moody is another regular character that you will find in the anti-gun segment. The problem with Moody is that he's also a chairperson that Republicans have put in charge in the past. He tries to pretend that he is, willing to see all sides, but he makes it to where good bills fail and bad bills at least get a vote, that kind of thing. So, he'll let a few go through just to make it look like, hey, I believe in, helping everybody. But the problem is when you've got a super majority of Republicans in both chambers, why are we allowing Democrats? And if Democrats were in charge, why would they allow Republicans to be chair people? It's nonsense. All right, 857. What this is it just talks about the disposition of firearms by persons who are prohibited. Now, this is an EPO essentially. This is the extreme risk protection orders, the ERPOs we call them, and if you're convicted of an offense involving family violence, or if you're the subject of a protective order, or if you're subject to a condition of a bond, which I'll tell you, every single client I have, it doesn't matter what the crime is. It can be littering. If they're put on probation or they get a deferred adjudication, 100% of the time, one of the bond conditions is you can't have access to firearms, which is absolutely insane and stupid. And yes, I challenge the bond conditions every single time. If it's not a violent crime, if somebody's such a danger to society, why are you letting them out in society? Okay. Give them their gun rights back. If you are free enough to be among us, you're free enough to have all your rights, period. And that's it. And this just talks about order the person to dispose. Here's the funny part, right? Here's why I just don't think leftards think when they write these things. Okay. So it's a protective order. Now, the idea behind this and the argument is behind, we can't have people who are involved in family violence, running around with guns, because that's how people get killed. And we can't have people who are under a protective order because they've been threatening family members or whatever. Or we can't have an emergency protection order. These people out there running around with guns. And if they're out on bond, they're under the state control, blah, blah, blah. So we need to have these people turn over the guns, right? So you just tell a person who's a violent person who's threatening to kill his wife or whatever, hey, you've got an extreme risk protection order, okay? So what that means is you have 10 days to turn over your gun. I mean, how stupid is that? You're saying that this person is a danger to society, he's a danger to his family members, he's a danger to other people, but you've got 10 days to turn in your guns. What do you think a really, truly dangerous person is going to do in those 10 days? Anybody? Bueller? So it's insane. But anyway, that's what this is. You got to give up your guns. And of course, it's just, I'm not even going to go any further. I think you guys are smart enough to know why that's a stupid bill. All right, 874, here we go. The dumbest House member. My opinion, by the way. This is multi-gun purchases. Now, if this bill were to pass, and again, this is House Bill 874 by Goodwin. Okay. By the way, these people aren't smart enough to write these bills. They have like Giffords that writes them for them. They have Moms Demand Action people that write these things for them. But essentially what this is if somebody buys 2 or more guns, it's got to be reported. Okay. Except if it's a 22. And it only applies to, so if I want to buy 2 ARs, actually, I just did this. If I want to buy 2 AR lowers, because I want to build my own AR, they have to report me and report the fact that, oh, CJ just bought 2 guns. And it's got to be reported to the sheriff or the police department, not later than 24 hours. The department is supposed to transmit the report to the sheriff of each county. And then if any of the applicable sales occurred in a municipality, it's just a registration scheme. That's all this is. I don't even know what to say on this. It's just so, and it's within a 30-day period, I believe, if I'm not mistaken. I think this one, there's several of them. But it's like if you buy one and then later go and buy another within a certain amount of time. Where was it? Oh, did I have it highlighted on here? I have it highlighted on one of them. This one doesn't look like it has. But, if you go buy one today and one next week, then you would have to get reported because you did it within a certain amount of time. This one might not have it. There's so many of these. Oh, here it is. 5 consecutive business days. There it is. Okay, I knew it was in there somewhere. So if you go in there and buy one now, and then you go in there and buy one on Wednesday, then you get reported. So, yeah, that's obviously bad. Especially, I mean, when they have, think about Black Friday. I can't tell you how many lowers that I haven't done this probably in a couple of years, but there was a one Black Friday. I think I bought 5 lowers because they were on sale for like $30, like from $100 to $30, like 70% off of these lowers. And I kept one of them, and then I gave the other 4 as gifts. And they're stripped lowers. It's just aluminum that's been molded, but those are technically the firearms, right? The part with the serial number on it. Well, this would require me to be reported because I bought 5 stripped lowers. I can't do anything with it. I can't hurt anybody with it. I've got to add all this other stuff to it. So I only kept one of those, and then I gifted or sold the other 4, just because it's a good deal. I mean, $30, $29.99 for a stripped lower you can't beat that price. It was like a Black Friday thing. I haven't seen those since, that kind of a deal. But anyway, this is how dumb Goodwin is. I don't know what the purpose of it is. Okay, so you report it to the sheriff and police. So what? Then what? What are they supposed to do with it? What is anyone supposed to do with it other than create a registry of who's got what? All right. Next bill, 893. Again, our friend Moody. This is an extreme risk protection order bill. We've already gone over that. Same issue. You've got to turn over your guns if you've got an extreme risk protection order. Here's the problem. Here's the problem with these things, right? So here's who's allowed to make an application for an ERPO. You've got the respondent's family member or household. Now, again, I'm an attorney, so words matter. They mean things to me. And so I'm always looking at the language in a bill. Well, family, these are all defined in here. Household, it's all defined. If you go, actually, this one doesn't have it. I don't think this one has household defined. This one doesn't define household. So what does that mean? What does household mean? A parent, guardian, or conservator can do an ERPO. A prosecuting attorney can do an ERPO. Any police officer can do an ERPO. And let me tell you something. I have seen as an attorney that prosecuting attorneys think they're psychologists. Police officers think they're psychologists. No due process here. Now, here's the other problem. You've got these people who think, okay, I think you're crazy. I think you should have your guns taken from you. I'm a police officer with a badge, so obviously I'm not crazy, right? So I'm going to report you, and all they've got to do is make the allegations. So the application just includes detailed allegations of possible medical conditions, quote unquote serious mental illness. So soldiers out there who might have PTSD or something, including any behavior of conduct related to respondents' use of firearms. Oh my gosh, this guy goes to the range all the time, and he just bought a bunch of guns, and I think he needs to have them taken away from him. All right, guys, y'all are succumbing to my son's trolling. I see my son is out there trolling people, and you're buying it. So have fun, Chris. All right. Here's the other thing, though. This right here. The clerk makes everything confidential. So you can't, whoa, hey, block him. If you can block him. There's no reason for, we've had this out before. I don't block many people, but when you keep creating different profiles. All right. Anyway, actually, no, never mind. Let him have fun. He's an idiot. But anyway, yeah, Chris is my son. All right. Where was I? Confidentiality. So, this thing, there's no accountability here. There's no accountability to the public of how these ERPOs are being abused, because everything is stricken from the public record and it's confidential and it's maintained only for use by the court. And then what the court is allowed to do is, if they find that the information contained in an application is reasonable cause, then just based off of the allegations alone, the judge can issue an ERPO and take away your guns. All right. And but they have 14 days if this is the one. There's a bunch of these as well. Yeah, here it is. Within 14 days, there has to be a hearing. And here's the problem with, okay, oh, great. Well, see, but CJ, there's due process. If a person goes through due process, why are you opposed to this? Well, because the court, it depends, there's a saying in the law. The law is whatever a judge says the law is. Now, you and I both agree with that. If you're following my channel, you know what a bogus argument that is, because the law is what the Constitution says the law is. And then, of course, it gets interpreted by judges. So really, the law is whatever a judge interprets the law to be. But in some cases, it's so blatant that judges, I kid you not, I've literally had a judge where I explained the law to him, and I explained, Judge, you do not have the authority. It's explicit right here in the law. You do not have the authority to do X. And this is the quote when I was done explaining my argument. Are you done? Yes, Your Honor. Well, I don't care. There's no way in hell he's getting his gun back. Quote, word for word, literally told me he didn't care about the law. So now you've got these judges who are going to be considering the results of any examination, like a mental evaluation, if you're forced to take a mental evaluation, any relevant mental or health information concerning the respondent. So that means, oh, Your Honor, we've proven that he's got a history of PTSD or whatever, maybe he had a suicide attempt in the past or two or whatever. So that's going to be used as evidence. Any history of threats or acts of violence. Now, keep in mind, this just says acts of violence. It doesn't say acts of just unjustified violence. So somebody breaks in your house, you kill them, and, well, that's an act of violence. This doesn't say acts of justified violence. So, if somebody punches you and you punch them back instead of turning the other cheek or walking away, or, well, why didn't you just run away? That kind of stuff. Because, yes, there are judges out there who think you don't have a right to defend yourself no matter what the law says. Then you've got threatening the use of force against another person. Again, it doesn't say unlawful physical force. Any recent violation of that, blah, blah, blah. And then any arrest or conviction for things involving violence. These are disorderly conduct and stalking charges here. And abuse of, if you've got a history or had a history at one point of abusing drugs or alcohol, that's going to be used against you. And also, by the way, this one. This is also what the judge can rely upon. Evidence regarding the respondent's recent acquisition of firearms, ammunition, or other deadly weapons. Judge, he just bought 5 lowers on Black Friday. We can't have him out there with a gun. He's dangerous. And with all of that quote unquote evidence, now keep in mind, a lot of this evidence here, testimony is evidence. You're put under oath. The idea is that when you're under oath, you're telling the truth. Well, I don't know how many divorces you've seen, and a lot of these ERPOs come from divorces where the husband or the wife lie incessantly about the other under oath. So testimony is evidence, and that's what they're going to be considered. So just another House Bill 893. I know it took a long time on this, but there's a lot to this where especially the fact that just buying guns is considered something that the court is going to consider on whether or not. And then that ERPO is in place for a year. And then you got to go back and re-justify it, right? All right, let's go to 808. Our friend Goodwin is back. Get back to my 808 page here. This is, we've already gone over this, so I won't go through much. This is her version of the, if you're at a gun show, you can't sell a gun, and the gun show operators have to ensure that there's a background check. So this is Goodwin's version of stupidity, just the same as the last bill that we read recently. All right, now we got Don Howard, 737. This is, I don't really care about this. I really don't. But I oppose anything because of, the person. I know how anti-gun these people are. And this is not about safety. It's just not. How many people, when you're driving down the road, you see this sign like buckle up or whatever, buckle up, or all those dumb signs that are on the highway. People ignore them anyway. I don't think this is going to cost any money. It doesn't really do anything one way or the other to, violate rights or anything. It's just, we need to put a sign up on these highway signs, that says keep your gun safe storage, make sure you secure your firearm. Okay, whatever. No one listens to those anyway. I don't really care. I don't have a position on this because it doesn't do anything one way or the other to solve any problems at all. It's just a feel-good measure. So I just bring this one up because it is what it is, Would it be considered a gun show at a police gun buyback? I don't think so. No, because you have to get certain permits for a gun show. And And I think they're probably different permits for a gun buyback. Those are usually done private property as well. All right, so there's that one. It's kind of dumb, just the Keep Them Safe Texas Gun Storage campaign, doesn't really pass any laws, anything like that. So, all right. Now, 682 Reynolds. Let me get back to 682. Like I said, my book is in numerical order, but these tabs are not. I got tired of trying to. Oh, I'm going to skip through that one too. This is, again, universal background checks at gun shows. I've already gone over 2 of those bills. I'm just showing you there's another one here. It's the same one. House Bill 682, just another one we got to oppose. But, you got to watch all these because they file so many of these that they think you won't notice that they're all out there. And the hope is that, okay, maybe the gun guys aren't tracking this one and we can sneak this one through. No, we're tracking all of them. So 682 is universal background checks at gun shows. Same thing as the Goodwin and the Eckhart one. All right, 655. That one's a long one, which means it must be a ERPO bill. Yep. So this is just the Reynolds version of what we just went through. All of the extreme risk protection orders, same thing, everything that the judge will consider. These politicians, they're not smart. Other people write these bills for them. And I have already mentioned that. And so what they do is they write. Look, I've done the exact same thing. I've got bills here in my yellow folder, not my red folder. My red folder is bad folder. Yellow folder is good folder. Now, my bills aren't like 10 pages long. Mine are pretty quick and short. But I write bills and then I go and I get sponsors on those bills as well. So, I mean, I'm not like saying that, oh, they don't write their own bills. Look, that's the way bills get passed. You've got lobbyists, you've got parties who are affected, interested parties who want something changed. And so they draft a bill and they try to get it sponsored and they try to get it passed. That's just the way this is. But that's why all of these bills are the same. And then they shop them to all of their cronies. We shop all of ours. And you try to get sponsors, and sometimes you get 4 or 5 sponsors, and sometimes you don't get any, which really sucks. So that's why these are the exact same bills. All right. Another Reynolds bill, 623. Let me see. This was a short one, if I'm not mistaken. Oh, this is the unlawful transfer of a semi-automatic. All right. This is about probably one of the most unconstitutional gun bills out there. A person commits an offense if the person knowingly sells, rents, leases, or otherwise transfers or offers to sell, rent, lease, or otherwise transfer any semi-automatic rifle. And it's a felony, by the way. So if you want to buy or sell the most popular hunting rifle, the most popular self-defense handgun or rifle, excuse me, and this doesn't even have a caliber restriction. Like, this includes 22s. You can't buy under this. You cannot buy anything but a revolving or bolt action rifle if this bill were to pass. These are the people that Texas elects. It is a felony, a state jail felony, to if this were to pass. This is not going to go anywhere. This is so blatantly unconstitutional. I mean, I think there should be a law that if a representative or a senator even suggests it, Reynolds did this bill. That's who introduced this one, Representative Reynolds. But if a lawmaker offers a bill on something that is clearly and already, stare decisis has already been determined to be unconstitutional, that should be a felony. Just in and of itself should be a felony. To knowingly file legislation that is so blatantly unconstitutional that any reasonable person who knows how to read, and maybe that's the problem with Democrats. So anyway, that's a short bill, 623, but definitely that's not going. I don't even think that one's going to get a hearing. That one's probably not even going to be. That one might not even be assigned to a committee. and that's sort of the process. You know, if you look, as a matter of fact, let me kind of show you how these things work. Oh, never mind. I thought there was a, oh, here we go. Bill stages. So this is kind of how the bills work. First, they get filed. Now, there's actually other stages in between here. So once a bill is filed, it has to, in where this check mark is, it has to be assigned to a committee. And once it's assigned to the committee, then, and there's still more in here, because to get out of the House committee, there has to be a public hearing on it. And after there's a public hearing on it, there has to be a vote. And then, of course, after the vote, it's got to get out of committee. And then, you know, there's other things. So then it gets out of the House committee. But before it gets out, if it gets out of the House committee, then there's what's called the Calendars Committee. And the Calendars Committee has to take it up. And usually a lot of bills go and die in the Calendars Committee, because some of them, like 623, are so blatantly constitutional and stupid that they just won't even assign it. So it's never going to get voted on by the House, because it never gets through the Calendars Committee, where it's stuck in, you know, scheduled for a vote or anything like that. And then you go on and on and on. Okay. So that's how you know, if you're ever trying to track a bill. And by the way, that's let me take a quick break. For those of you that are still here, it means you care about these issues. So I'm going to go way over here and I'm going to show you something. Oh, that's not it. Yeah, I'm going to show you how this is my list right here. I've got several bill lists, non-gun bills that I support, bills I'm neutral on, bills I oppose, and bills I support. Okay. And I create these lists. And so as I go through and I read them all, I'll add a bill to the list. So like, for example, and this is what I'm reading through right now. This is the list I'm reading through right now, is my anti-gun bills. And then you can track all of these things. It'll tell you what's the last status. It's been introduced. And then it'll give you a small relating to the reporting of lost or stolen firearms, of what it's about. As you can tell, none of these have been assigned to committees yet. If there's a companion, so remember how I was saying that, you know, some of these bills, they're filed by multiples. So these are identical. This one here is similar than 353. That's why some of these look alike. But anyway, here's how you do that. I want to kind of show you, because if you want to track bills on your own, what you've got to do, let me log out here. If you go to legis.state.tx.u, now you can also type in Texas Legislature online into a search engine, and it'll bring you to this page, which is legis.state.tx.us. And what you do is you go over here and you click on the login. But if you don't have a login, you do new user, you create a login and password, you create your profile, right? Already got one, so let me log in. Once you've done all of that and you're logged in, hello, what happened? There we go. You can then at home here, you pick which legislative session. Of course, you're going to pick the current one, because that's the one that we're on right now. But if you want to look at past bills, you can go through here and look at bills from previous legislative sessions, right? But if you want to look at, okay, what's been filed right now, you click on that. If you're looking by bill number, if you know what bill number you're looking for, you can just automatically, like, I'm just going to pick a bill I'm not tracking, HB. Let's see if there's a 123, HB 123. Oh, looks like there's not. Hang on, let me put a space here, see if that fixes it. Nope. Let's see if there's an SB 123. Okay, so there's an SB 123. This is relating to the verification of the accuracy of an application for a license to practice medicine in this state. And it gives you kind of some, but anyway, let's just say this is a gun bill, or this is a bill about abortion, or this is a bill about due process, or this is a bill about the First Amendment, whatever. You can add it to your bill list. And then what happens is it pops up this little thing. And if you already have bill lists, you can add it to an existing bill list that you have, or you can create a new one, you know, if you want to put medical bills. And if you want to put, okay, this list is bills I oppose, right? And then you can put a specific bill comment. This bill requires all nurses to be transgender, right? So there's that. I'm not going to add that on there. The other thing you can do is in here, I think it might be under my TLO. You can go to alerts. You can pick a bill. So let's do SB123. Let me, yeah, because I've made this so much bigger. So I can add the bill. And now I'm going to get an alert. I can get alert on any category, or what I typically do initially is if they're like for all my gun bills, I do any category. But there are some that I know they're not gonna get very far. So all I want to know is it scheduled for a hearing? And if you just click scheduled for a hearing and then you add it, so then it'll, oh, I didn't put a bill in there. So 1, 2, 3, for example, if I click that drop down box, I can say instead of any category, I only want to know when it's scheduled for a hearing so I can show up for that hearing. And then hit OK. And now it's only scheduled for hearing. It's not all. And that's how you get, and then you get an email saying, hey, your bill has just been scheduled for a hearing on whenever it is. Keep in mind, if they're really trying to get a bill passed that they know that it's not popular, they will only meet the minimum 72-hour requirement for that. So what I always do anyway is I don't pick just, sorry, it's trying to, there we go. I don't pick just, scheduled for a hearing. If I'm following a bill, I want to know everything about that bill. Now I need to remove that because I don't really care about that bill. Someone else might, but I don't. All right, so delete that. So that's how you add a bill alert. And I do that to all of my lists so that I know that. And then you can also create a save search. I don't think I've saved it yet. Yeah, I did. So, that's an old, because we're not on that. We're on 89, right? Yeah. So I create a, like if you were to load this, any bill that is filed that contains any of these words or some variation of the word gives me a notice. And so I'll be doing that again. That's how I find all these bills is just, I can either use with all the words, with any of these words, and use all that and all that stuff. So, hey, Matt, thank you for that $2. Appreciate you. You like my idea to change PC 411-207? Yeah, and I've already got a bill. It's a little bit different than that. But I have a bill already that, where is it? As a matter of fact, I can pull that up really quick and show you. This is a bill that, believe it or not, the Democrats are going to be supporting for me. This is why you need to have good relationships everywhere. Where is it? Right here. And let me put this on the right screen. As soon as it opens. Where is it? There it is. All right. Does this show up? Nope. All right. Hang on. Let me share this screen here. I'm going to stop that for a minute. I'm going to share this. Maybe I'll just do this. There we go. I'll just share the screen instead of the actual file. So this is a bill that I wrote here. Instead of changing 411-207, what I did was under the penal code, under 1224, where it talks about all misdemeanors and what is the punishment for each. Oh crap! Oh, I've got to log into Adobe. I just added it under there that a Class C misdemeanor that is where the maximum punishment is a fine not to exceed $2,000. So $2,000 and less. If it's a $2,000 or less fine, then you cannot, it's not an arrestable offense. You cannot subject them to confinement, et cetera, et cetera. So I did it a little bit easier way than 411-207. I don't like drafting these long drawn out bills. Just make it simple. Make it simple. All right. Let's go back here to, where we were way over here. Let me get back up to my last bill here. And we already went over this one. So now we're on, again, Reynolds 579. 579. This is, another transfer bill. So this bill would make it a, this is the important part here, that you can't sell, rent, lease, or give, or offer to sell, rent, lease, or give to a child younger than 18 years of age, a club, blah, 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 or firearm other than a semi-automatic rifle. That it's just to a person younger than 21 years of age, a semi-automatic rifle. So you can give someone that is younger than 18 something other than a semi-automatic rifle. And if they're under 21, you can't give them a semi-automatic rifle. So yeah, obviously no go. It's just, you're not allowed. I mean, I bought my son, I can't remember how old my kids were when they got their first rifle. But they were definitely under 18, that's for sure. And it was a 22, it was an AR style 22. And they successfully graduated high school and college, all of my kids, without shooting anybody up, probably because they were raised right. All right, so there's 579. Now we go to 478. Our friend Goodwin again. So you're probably an ERPO bill. Oh yeah, because it's like 10 pages. So yeah, this is just another ERPO bill. HB 478 is another extreme risk protection order bill. I'm not going to go through that again, just to save time, because it's the same thing. All right, then we got 461 Mesa. I don't really know much about Mesa. 461. This is a registration bill. So this would create a gun registry in Texas where every firearm sale, whether it's you have to essentially no private sales. Like we talked about the gun show private sales. So this is like a universal background check and registration. But in order for there to be a private background or a private sale, all sales, private party sales, must go through an FFL, and there has to be documentation of those transfers. So this creates a registry and a universal background check. Bad. So we'll be opposing that. Next bill, 479. Probably good one, I bet, just because of the number. Nope, Bernal. And that's just another, oh, I guess I can just look at it right here. This is just another, if you buy 2 or more weapons within a 5-day business. So remember how I showed you where there are similar bills filed? This is just another one of them. 425 by Busey. Let's see, which one was this? This was, why do I have this one in here? Hang on. There must be something that is a person who's eligible to vote. There's got to be something in here about firearms. Why did I have this one in here? And I don't have a note on my sheet here, so it must be something minor. Maybe I think one of the reasons that this was highlighted is because we noticed the glaring omission of what is proof of identification, that it doesn't include license to carry, that you can't use your license to carry here. And I think that was done intentionally. So that's probably why I have this bill flagged, that it doesn't specifically mention license to carry. And we probably want to somehow amend this because it's a voter registration bill, or a voter, registration at polling places and voting procedures. And I think the fact that it doesn't say anything in here about a license to carry, we just wanted to add that in there, I believe. That's the only reason I think I would have flagged this one here. So anyway, that one does nothing really remarkable. It's just I kind of noticed how they are trying to water down the license to carry and not make it as relevant and useful. Let's see. All right, before we go to this next one, Matt's got another donation. Thanks for the $5. Wanted to make it so cops can't disarm us on minor traffic stops. They need RAS of a major offense or a non-traffic crime short to start MIMS. To overturn MIMS and Terry, or to undermine it at least. Yes, and that's what my bill does. Is it very clearly lays out that you cannot conduct a search, or at least not an arrest based on, because it's not an arrestable offense. I think I put specifically a non-arrestable offense, that Class C misdemeanors, where there is no confinement and a fine of less than $2,000. Again, and we've got to. I'd like it to have just fine only, but some people are like, well, if it's serious enough to have a $5,000 fine, then it's serious enough to put somebody in jail. But generally, you don't got to put somebody in jail for a Class C misdemeanor because they're only $500 fines, and that's, you get credit for, I think it's either $150 or $250 a day that you have to spend in jail anyway. So if you're fined, each day in jail counts against that. But yeah, so I agree with you. We're just going about it different ways. All right, $3.97. But thank you for the donation there. This is another universal background check. This is the one that's similar but not the same. As I clicked on when I was showing you how to register stuff and how to save bills. That's what that does. So that's another universal background check bill, House Bill 397. And I'm already over the hour that I wanted to dedicate to this, so I'm going to skip the ones that are repetitive. 384 by our wonderful friend Goodwin here. I believe this is treating young adults differently. Yep, it is. So if you give any firearm, a semi-automatic rifle with a detachable magazine that's greater than a 22, under 21. So an 18-year-old adult, 19-year-old adult, 20-year-old adult can't have a semi-automatic rifle that's capable of accepting a detachable magazine. This idea of accepting a detachable magazine, I mean, it's like a liberal utopia. It's like the crack for liberals. It's almost like the identification for a cop. They've just got to have, oh my gosh, if it takes a magazine, it's bad. Magazine, bad. Semi-automatic, bad. Under 21, bad. Under 20 or over 22 caliber, bad. Do you know how many people, if you've got old NRA magazines, the old ones you used to get every month. Well, you still get them every month if you're an NRA member. But they've got this the armed citizen section that's in every page. And if you were to read the old ones, almost everyone used to have a 22 and a 38 special. Then, it went from 22 and then it kind of evolved into a 38 special. And then the caliber of choice was a 9mm. Now it's all over the place, right? But 22s are just as lethal as anything else. So these are just stupid bills. But of course, it's filed by stupid people, right? All right. So that's House Bill 384. I hope everybody's taking a list of this. No, I will not. Maybe I'll figure out if I can copy and paste the bill numbers into the description of this video. I'll try, but otherwise, go back and listen to the video. All right, 384, 313 by Johnson. Another, I'm surprised she hasn't filed more bills this session, to be honest with you. All right, 313. This one is, same thing. I'm not going to go through this one. It's the exact same bill. Under 21, no semi-automatics. All right, 306. House Bill 306. This one is, of course, this is another one. Under 21, unlawful purchase or possession, just by another legislator. So that's a person younger than 21 years of age, no firearm. Not going to go through that. House Bill 260. This is just if you're, let me see here. I think this is the registered sex offender, if I'm not mistaken. Let's see, before blah, 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 blah. I think this, if you're on the sex offender list. Here, let me go to, yeah, if I'm not mistaken, this is the sex offender list. Let me just make sure here. That might be, is it family code? 62, let me see. Nope, maybe it's penal code. Okay, maybe it's the Code of Criminal Procedure. Oh, yeah, sex offender. Okay, I was right. Yeah. So sex offender, if you're on the sex offender list, no guns for you. No guns for you. Even if it was because you were a minor, when it was you were a minor. And so yeah, minor. Yes, I draft ridiculous laws too. Oh, there you go. You know, that's a good idea. I might actually file that bill to actually, you know what? I might get someone to file that bill, and I think I know someone who will. Just to make that point. Good point there, Bumblebee. I like that. I think I'm going to do something I'm going to see if I can get a bill passed like that, or not passed, but at least introduced. And I would love to have a hearing on it. Man, that would be so fun. So fun. You know, Kennesaw, Georgia. If you look up Kennesaw, Georgia laws, there's a law that every citizen of Kennesaw, Georgia must have a firearm for self-defense. And you know what their crime rate is? It's incredibly low. Not because everyone follows the law, but because criminals think everyone's following the law. I mean, if you're a law-abiding citizen and the law says you have to have a gun, by golly, do your duty and follow the law, right? And so it's really just a matter of the criminals probably think everyone has a gun. Anyway, all right, let's get back out of here. So that's what that was. That was a so if you're on the sex offender list, sex registry, then you can't have a gun if this bill were to pass. By Lalani. Lalani is this is a newer, if I'm not mistaken, and let me see, Representative Lalani, Texas. I think she is new. Oh, it's a dude. Why don't I recognize this name? Why don't I recognize his name? I was thinking of someone completely different then. Let me see when he was elected. It had to have been, oh, okay. So this is just his second term, and I wasn't here for this term because I was in law school, or still doing the law thing. Okay, so that's why I didn't recognize him, because this is only his second term. All right. So there's 260. Let's get to 260. What is that? 260 is, oh, it's the exact same thing. Oh, wait, we already went over that. That's why. All right, 234, Johnson. There's Johnson again. This is your obligatory red flag law, or ERPO. It's also extreme risk protection order. So once again, you've got your extreme risk protection. Same thing. We've already gone over it. Not going to go over it again. That is House Bill 234. See, I did 123. I should have done 234. All right, now we've got Mesa 226. This one is very short, but what it means is if this bill passed, you couldn't buy or create your own gun. As a matter of fact, I should have, and I don't know if Chris is still listening, if he's still out there, but if you wouldn't mind, Chris, going on top of my safe, on the big safe, going on top of the big safe, and I've got a silver lower. It's an 80% lower up there. It's all sort of aluminum. If you could bring that to me, I'd appreciate it. But what this would be is you cannot create your own firearm, and this is blatantly unconstitutional, because the history and tradition of the United States, which is now the standard for judging gun laws, is that if there's no history or tradition of regulating something, then the law is unconstitutional. And we have a right to make our own firearms. Now, the reason that they want this bill, the leftards want this bill, is because they want everything trackable. And they don't like so-called ghost guns. But if it weren't for private manufacturers or private people making their own guns, we wouldn't have Colts. We wouldn't have a lot of these guns that we have. And I'm making my own AR right now. I just got to get a jig for it, but I've got a lower. It's the Because I Can AR, and it's the model number is CJ2A, and but it's the Because I Can rifle. So it's gonna be eventually when I build it. But I now have, I've got a resin 3D printer now, and it does really strong resin, and I build my own gun parts. I made I don't think I have it on here. I did break it with a hammer just to see how sturdy it was going to be, and I really had to beat the crap out of it before it broke. So I broke the pistol grip that I made, just testing the resin, because I wanted to see, okay, if I actually put this on a gun, is it going to break on me? And it really took a lot. I mean, I had to really beat the crap out of the thing before it broke. So I've got a great 3D resin printer, and who knows what else I'm gonna. Yes, exactly. I'm with Slim Jim there. I'm against all background checks as well. So anyway, this bill by Mesa just says that you can't make your own firearm unless you're an FFL holder. And current law is you can do that. Well, of course, even if the law wasn't there, if there was a law saying otherwise, it would be unconstitutional anyway. But current law is, as long as you don't sell it, you can make as many as you want. Once you start selling it, and you can't sell across state lines, then federal law kicks in. But got to oppose that one anyway, because it means you've got to create your own. You can't create your own firearm, and I'm opposed to that because I build my own firearms. All right, 1150 Morales Shaw. That's way towards the back there. This is once again, nope, I'm not going to go through that one because this is another under 21 bill. You can't give a semi-automatic rifle to someone under 21 if it's got a detachable magazine. Oh, here's Lilani again, back to 352. See how I'm kind of jumping around? 352. Again, this is an under 21 bill. You can't give a semi-automatic rifle. No, I'm sorry. This says any firearm. So the only difference in this one is it's not just a semi-automatic rifle, but it's any firearm. Any handgun, rifle, bolt action, doesn't matter. So this one's even more restrictive than some of the other ones, Lalani. That was House Bill 352. All right, 396 is this looks like, oh yeah, family violence again. It's just so this gets rid of the fact that it's a class A misdemeanor and just says any offense under 22, which is this is the assault section of the penal code. So although what's interesting here is this doesn't say penal code. I'd argue this just because it doesn't say, but it is under the penal code. But anyway, so this is any offense under 2201, the penal code, that is punishable as any misdemeanor. So it can even be a class C misdemeanor if those persons are family members, if they're a family member. No guns for you. No guns for you. All right. That was 396, 498. 498. That's another extreme risk protection. We've already covered that, and it looks like it's the exact same one. The only difference with this one is that you have to surrender the firearms within 7 days instead of 10 days. So that's what was different about this one. I've got that on my notes. So 7 days instead of 10 days is when so you've got 7 days to commit your crimes if your guns are going to get taken from you under an extreme risk protection order. So yeah, stupidity. I've already covered that. All right, 547. This is, again, going back to the lost or stolen firearms. You have to report it within 24 hours, and I've already gone over. So this is just yet another lost or stolen firearm bill that we've already covered. So I'm going to skip that one. 639. All right. This one's kind of a weird bill. We already do this stuff. I don't know about you guys, but I just bought, I can't show it because then I'll get this video taken down. I just, for Christmas, I got a Canic Rival S. So an all steel Canic. I'm not a big fan of the polymer guns. I'm a 1911 guy because I love the fact that they're all steel, or aluminum, just some metal. But, it sounds like you want your rights, but not take responsibility that comes with it. Well, no. How so, Nancy? It sounds like you want your rights, but not take responsibility that comes with it. All right. I would just ask Nancy to explain what she's talking about. Oh, don't get me wrong. I'm all for the Second Amendment. Well, then, what do you oppose here? Responsibility is just not using a gun to hurt somebody or to violate someone else's rights. That's responsibility. Responsibility isn't forcing me to jump through hoops to lawfully possess a piece of metal. That's not responsibility. And if you think that that's responsibility, that in order to be a responsible gun owner, you have to accept that the government can dictate what you own, how much you can own. I can own 3,000 million guns. I can own every gun in the United States. And if I'm not a criminal, it doesn't make any difference. I would be just as safe with 300 million guns as I would be with one gun. Possession is not the problem. And you don't regulate possession of an object. You regulate actions. So in other words, when I say all guns are an abomination to the Second Amendment, the Second Amendment doesn't give you a right to murder people. Second Amendment doesn't give you a right to assault people. Second Amendment doesn't give you a right to rob people. It gives you a right to keep and bear arms. And there's the unspoken reality. It's for lawful purposes, right? For lawful purposes. And by lawful, we mean common law, by the universal law of do unto others as you would have them do unto you, or the universal law of God-given rights, that your rights extend only to the point where another person's rights begin. I have a right to keep and bear arms, provided that I don't interrupt someone else's rights to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, right? So that's where laws are. So you talk about responsibility. The problem is we have so many people who are so-called, how did she put it? Who are so-called all for the Second Amendment, but will accept all of these infringements upon your rights through schemes of registration and schemes of background checks and schemes of all this other kind of stuff. And that's the problem, is so-called people who think they support the Second Amendment really don't, because they support laws that undermine your Second Amendment. And even if you think, oh, we can't have bad people carrying guns, that's not what background checks do. Background checks check to find out if you're a prohibited person. Well, guess what makes you a prohibited person? Laws do. Gun laws do. Right now, if you commit a felony, any felony, it doesn't matter. And it's not even a felony, by the way. Most people think that you have to commit a felony in order to lose your gun rights. No, it's any crime. This is what the federal law is. Any crime where the punishment exceeds a year in jail. That's it. And you can have misdemeanors. There are misdemeanors that are a year or more in jail. Those are crimes that prohibit you from being able to carry a firearm. It's not just felonies. I don't think a lot of people know that. They think it's only, I haven't been charged with a felony. Although I did get charged with a misdemeanor, nonviolent misdemeanor, and I had to spend 18 months in jail. Okay, well, guess what? You're prohibited, because that's the law, is that if it's more than a year, then you lose your gun rights. So you say, I believe in background checks because it keeps bad people from having guns. Well, guess what if littering is, because they just say, okay, well, we're going to make littering a felony now. How is that person a threat? You throw your couch off, and I hate this because I live in the country. I see it all the time. This is why I talk a lot about littering, because I see people committing quote unquote crimes all the time out in the country where, they don't want to have to pay to go to the landfill. But by the way, ladies and gentlemen, if you go to the landfill and you have a water bill, at least in Temple, I know, and I think in most cities, if you have a water bill or a utility bill, you just take that. As long as you're in your own truck, you can't take a big trailer. As long as you're in your truck, you can dump that stuff for free. But no, these people are lazy, or maybe they're here illegally. I don't know, but they just dump it out near our pastures, near our streets that go to our homes and all that kind of stuff, out in the middle of nowhere, because they know they won't get caught. But if all government has to do to disarm you is to make everything a felony, or create more and more misdemeanors, which, as we've seen throughout this video, that last 90 minutes, even misdemeanor crimes. So if you support background checks, then you support the government determining what makes you a prohibited person under a background check. It used to be just violent felonies. It used to be just murders and things like that. And then Martha Stewart, she's a prohibited person because she's got a felony under her belt. So don't ever support anything that sounds good. Responsibility doesn't come from obeying laws. Responsibility comes from protecting liberty. And by protecting liberty, responsibility means I will not use this gun on my hip unless there is a reason to do so, to protect myself, to protect my family, to protect others, or to protect my property. Period. That's it. Beyond that, you don't have a right. You don't have a right to wave a gun in someone's face. You don't have a right to rob somebody. You don't have a right to, because you're interfering with that person's right to property when you commit robbery. That's why robbery is bad. You commit a person's right to life when you kill them or attempt to shoot them. Okay, you violate a person's right to the pursuit of happiness when you injure them with a gun. Because if they can't walk, or they're disabled or paralyzed or lose an arm or something, well, now they can't pursue happiness the way that they want to. So, these butters, I call them, I support the Second Amendment, but you need to reevaluate what you're doing. You're giving government the tools and the sponsorship. I've got this here. Let me show you this. I just posted this on my law page. And if you don't follow, yes, I follow. I love making fun of flat earthers. Where is my pages at? What is going on here? Where is my, maybe if I do this, there we go. All right. So if you go to my law page, this is Nancy right here. That completely describes Nancy. Oh, do it here. This is Nancy. The oppressor would not be so strong if she or he did not have accomplices among the oppressed. It doesn't matter what all gun owners think. It does not matter whether or not all gun owners think like me. The idea of having a gun is to protect myself from bad actors. And you want to essentially penalize yourself, penalize me for the actions of others. There's another quote. I'm not going to look it up right now because this video will go forever. There's another quote about how, and I think it was, gosh, I can't remember who it was. I don't want to give the wrong quote, but where if you make laws based on the actions of bad people, then everything will be against the law, because there have always throughout history, immemorial, even if you don't believe in the Bible as a religious text, believe in it as a historical text, even in biblical times, there was evil despite laws. And you don't save people's lives and protect the public by disarming the honest, the good, the moral, the patriotic, and the heroic, and the law-abiding. You just don't do it. All right. So, it's a headset. It's a head check. I mean, I think you've been brainwashed into this idea that, not only all gun owners think like you, so we should all be regulated. We should all be regulated because not everyone is as good as CJ, and I'm not even a good person. So, you don't even know me. You know me, what you see online, but you don't know if I'm a good person. I don't think I'm a good person. I'm a patriotic person. I believe in liberty. When I say patriotic, I mean the ideals that this country was founded on. of freedom and liberty and unlimited and limited government. But my right to keep and bear arms is not dependent on whether or not everyone ceases or refrains from abusing that right. My rights do not hinge on how others exercise their rights. That's why there are consequences for the abuse of rights. But you don't possess, you don't criminalize mere possession. You criminalize actions. And all of these bills I'm showing you are criminalizing nothing but possession. All right, let's get back to this Goodwin bill. This is 639. I'll get off my high horse here. This is HB 639. And this is requiring, now, how many of you, like I said, I was just talking about how I just bought a Canic Rival S steel. And every gun I have purchased in the last, I don't even know how long. I mean, it's been years, has come with a firearm, you know, one of those locks, the cable lock. It usually comes with a cable lock. And to be honest with you, I'm not sure if that's a federal requirement or not. I never looked into it because I don't care. Because I represent usually the end user, the owner, not the gun manufacturer. So I haven't had to look into what are the requirements of a gun manufacturer when they put together or sell a firearm. But I do know that whether it's a rifle, a shotgun, or a pistol, they all come with a firearm safety device. Well, now what this is doing is it's essentially creating a law to force companies to do what they already do, which is have a firearm safety device. And then when you look at this is kind of what's really funny to me. Secure firearm storage device. Now, if you do a search here, this is what cracks me up. So inclusion of firearm safety device or secure firearm storage device and information regarding tax exemption. So it requires them to either have a firearm safety device or give you a safe to put the gun in. Do I understand how that makes us unequal in public? No, guns make us equal in public. Guns make us all equal because it creates strength among the weak. That's the idea. The gun is what makes people equal to government. This is why we don't have as much tyranny as we would have, is because the people are armed. So anyway, so this is just a dumb bill. I'm going to oppose it just because this is already done. There's no sense in creating more laws that do absolutely nothing. And this is one of those, you don't support like gun safety? Yeah, I do. This is my safety right here. Okay. And guess what? Everyone has issued one of these. So if you really care, this is what I always tell these retards. If you truly care about gun safety and you truly want to make sure that, well, if you don't want to carry a gun, then don't carry a gun. That's your own fault. Rely on someone else for your protection. Okay. You don't have to. And if you don't want to, I don't want you carrying a gun. Period. If you don't know how to shoot one, you shouldn't be carrying one. That's good. I'm glad you're doing that. But that just because you don't want to carry a gun doesn't mean that everyone else has to bend to your will. Just here's how freedom works. I don't want to carry a gun. Don't. Wow. It's magic. All right. What was I saying here? Geez. Oh, if you really want and care about gun safety, then you will. Hey, Chris, can you go grab that silver gun part that I have on top of the big safe for me and bring it in? It's the lower that's not hollowed out yet. If you would, please. All right. Anyway, so then here's an idea, Miss Goodwin, Representative Goodwin. Will you join me in introducing and requiring gun safety classes? And by gun safety, I mean, never point a gun at anything you don't intend to shoot. Keep your finger off the trigger at all times until ready to operate the firearm. Treat every gun as if it's loaded. Always keep it up and down range, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Would you support requiring all students at every school? So it starts, I would even start it in elementary school, have a gun safety course. You know, if you see a gun for young kids, if you see a gun, never touch it. Contact an adult. You know, if it's left out, contact an adult. Let somebody know, hey, there's a gun here. That's what you do in elementary school. Never touch it. In middle school, you start with the fundamentals of, you know, if you ever do find a gun and for some reason you have to pick it up, then you always keep it pointing in a safe direction. Never put your finger on the trigger. Always make sure that it's unloaded, or treat it as if it's loaded. So will you support me in doing that, and bringing gun safety training into every school in Texas so that we can, avoid having these kinds of problems and these kinds of bills? And you know what? No, they say no. The Democrats don't really want gun safety. It's not about safety with the Democrats. It's about control. They know they cannot control us the way they want to control us, the way every good communist controls the people, as long as we're armed. And so they do all of these things to keep us from being unarmed. Now, this is what I was talking about, that one bill. So this is the lower that I need to get a jig for. It's what's called an 80% lower. It's only got a few holes on it. Obviously, a lot of other stuff has got to be pulled out. If you look on here, it says, let me see if I can get that right. There you go. Because I can, Temple, Texas. I'm going to be making it here in Temple, Texas. And here's the model is because I can, or CJ2A multi-caliber. And of course, it's serial number 001. And then here are my my safety selector lever things here. I don't know if that's showing up or not, but so I've got to punch the holes and do all the other stuff, and hollow everything out. But this is what they want to prevent me from making, is this right here. I just got to get a jig for it and build it myself. All right. So anyway, there's that one. Let's go to the next one. Stupid bill. Stupid bill. All of these are stupid bills. 7-Eleven. 7-Eleven. Ikibun. That was when I was in Japan. That's how the 7-Eleven commercials. Hey, wait a minute. Why don't I have 7-Eleven in my notebook? All right. I don't know what this one's about, but I've got it on my list here. Oh, this is just another, you can't have a gun if, except in this one, instead of scratching out Class A, they left that there. So this is making it, this is trying to overcome the so-called like girlfriend loophole or boyfriend loophole. Oh, you're not technically married, so it's not domestic violence. Let's why don't we just treat all violence as all unjustified violence as bad and treat it all equally? Because I don't think there's much of a difference between beating a woman you're married to and beating a homeless woman that you've never met in your life. Beating a woman is beating a woman, and both of them should have penalties of being dragged through the streets and hung from the brightest lamppost. All right. That was 7-Eleven. 770 I do have. No, I don't have 770 either. Okay, so I've added bills and haven't printed them out yet because it's not in my notebook. Blah, blah, blah. Okay, this is, we've already covered this bill in a different place. This is, again, just family violence, or I'm sorry, sex offender. So you can't have a gun if you're a sex offender. This is just another version of that bill. Oh, hang on. I need to print that one out. Let me go back. I'm just going to print that out while I'm here so I don't forget about it. I should have printed that last one out too. All right, you get to see all that. Okay, so there's that. 770, 956. Let's see if I have that one. See, I get notices whenever new bills are filed, and sometimes I forget to print them out. Yep, I do have 956. This is reporting. Let me see what I underlined here. Oh, this is just family violence again and reporting stuff to the NICS system. So this is if there's a protective order. Of course, there's got to be a protective order that's filed. Family violence misdemeanors. So what it does is it adds more stuff to the NICS system, more stuff that shouldn't be a disqualifier anyway. You know, the bottom line is if somebody is too dangerous to be in public with a gun, they shouldn't be in public, period. All right. That was 9:56. Now we're at 11:38. 11:38. This one creates more gun-free zones. And of course, I do not believe in gun-free zones. But what this does is it says that you cannot carry into a library. How utterly stupid. Now what? Oh goodness, and it only exempts law enforcement. By the way, it only exempts and 4615 has is the non-applicability statute. That's the one that allows me to carry into courthouses and all these other places. But I think I want to abolish and end all gun-free zones. This creates an extra gun-free zone where you can't even carry into a library. How absolutely stupid is that? Why not? Are libraries magical safe places? How many people have been killed in libraries? And they didn't even use a silencer. I mean, they even broke the law again, or broke the rules against noise in the library. They didn't even bother to use a silencer. So yeah, oppose that because it's just more gun-free zone stuff. 1234, I do have that one. That is medical ERPO. So this just, all this bill allows to do is it creates extreme risk protection orders that a doctor can say, oh, I don't think this person should have a gun. Do you know how many anti-gun doctors are out there? A lot. There are a lot of anti-gun doctors out there. I mean, just go and look up the group Doctors Against Guns. Okay. So this would just allow doctors to say, oh, I've got a PhD, so I must know something about guns, and I don't think this person should have a gun. Nope. Sorry. Don't support it. And that's Guillen. Guillen is generally a, he's kind of a moderate, I would say, on the Democrat side when it comes to guns. If I'm not mistaken, he voted for either open carry or constitutional carry, either or both. But I know he voted in favor of one of those. What's this? So anyway, but regardless, no. All right, 691. We're almost done here. We got two more left. And I guarantee you there's more out there that I still need to add to my, and just like that, this one's not added either to my folder. Let me just make sure that I'm not skipping a page. Yep, this one's not added either. So I'm going to have to print this one out once it comes up. Let's see what this one's about. Oh, registration of firearms. I can already tell you what it is. It's, once again, it's our dumbest Senator Eckhart, and it does an unconstitutional registration scheme. It's already unconstitutional. The courts have already ruled it's unconstitutional, and yet we've got people trying to create registrations. And what happens after a registration? Confiscation. So, all right, last one here is, oh, no, that's it. So now we've got my bill list. So I'm going to go ahead and close that out. All right, guys. And look at that, under 2 hours. I only wanted this to be an hour. Good to see you, Beezy. Only wanted this to be, oh, I need to get on your show too. We need to pick a time. But again, I would recommend that you guys go to the Texas Legislature online right here. Create yourself a profile. You know, some of you might care about the legalization of marijuana. You might care about creating more traffic laws. You might, whatever it is, abortion, immigration, anything. You can go in here and you can search for bills. Let's say a word or phrase. Let's do abortion. And you can find out, there's 26 bills that have been filed relating to abortion. Let's say you want to, let me go back to home. Let's say you want to know what bills are out there about, I don't know, what's another big thing here. I don't know. Somebody give me something you care about. First Amendment, filming. Let's see. Filming. Let's just see what filming says. I bet you it's a lot of bills about the. So there's 2 bills. Oh, this is about child pornography. Child pornography. So those are good bills. Okay, someone said marijuana. Oh, actually, let's do this. THC. That might be hard though because. Oh no, here we go. So there's 8 bills right now related to THC, and I know that Dan Patrick, who I am going to fight left, right, and sideways, is trying to get rid of, make THC banned completely. So there's 8 bills right now. Reynolds, now see, this is where the Democrats are on our side. Reynolds has one that authorizes the possession use up to a certain amount of marijuana. Menendez looks like the same bill. Jones has medical marijuana with certain medical conditions. Same with Morales Shaw. Alvarado is the same. I don't know what this neglect bill is. Eckhart, again, one of the dumbest people, is supportive of this. Dumb people can, a broken clock is right twice a day as well. So anyway, if you want to know about THC, now someone said the goofy way that we spell it here, which is we spell it like this. I guess it's the Gringo Tejano way. I don't know. So there's 11 bills that talk about marijuana. So that's what I'm saying. Go to Texas Legislature online. Make sure that after you create your profile, you go down to the current legislative session, right? You type in your word of something you care about, marijuana, and then you can just open the bill text. Oh, you don't want to do that. Hang on. You don't want to do it that way. Don't just click on the link if you're trying to save these things. So go here and click text here, because that's where you can add to your bill list right here. So if you want to, so just for example, let's say I want to follow this bill and I want to know everything about it, right? So I click add to my bill list. This window pops up. There we go. I don't have a marijuana bill. So let's just do this. Marijuana. I'm going to type it the right way. Marijuana bills. Bills regulating a plant. And then this bill would authorize use and possession. All right. And I want to add that on there. Boom. Successfully added to your bill list. And now if I go to my TLO and I look at my bill lists, I've got this extra marijuana bills here, and I can run it. Run that. There it is. I don't know if this, I'm probably going to delete this because I don't even know what this bill is, if I support it or not. I'm just showing you how to do it. Let's see if I support this one or not. Okay. Marijuana means. Oh, this actually is not a good bill because I think it. Oh, wait. It actually criminalizes more stuff with marijuana, now with marijuana concentrate. So Moody is the Republican of the Democrats when it comes. So I don't support this one. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to my bill list. I'm going to look at I'm going to edit this. And it said, I'm going to change what my comment is, would criminalize marijuana extracts as well. So I want to oppose this. And I can even put something in here like oppose, right? And then I would save it. There we go. So that's how you track that. And then the other thing is, if I wanted to go back to my TLO and I want to go to alert, that was what, HB 848, HB 848. and I want to add that to my bill alert report. And I can do a report here. I look and make sure that was the right one that I just added possession of marijuana. And now anytime something happens with this bill, any category, I'll get an email saying, hey, House Bill 848 is up for a vote, or it's up for a public hearing or whatever. So, all right. That's that. I still got 5 minutes left for the 2-hour mark. I wanted to show you kind of how to get yourself around, but get yourself knowledgeable about Texas legislature online so that you can follow bills and things that you support, things you don't support, things you want to testify for, things you want to testify against. That's how you do it. It's very simple. It's very intuitive. Sometimes you've got to use, like, for example, like here's what would happen. Let's see. If I went to home, so I just did marijuana with the H, right? But what if I do J? Look at that. If you spell marijuana wrong, you're not going to get any bills. It's going to show nothing. So Texas, they spell it this way, and look, you get 11 bills. So you've got to sometimes play with words. You know, sometimes also you might say firearm. Like if I want all firearm bills, I just do that. There's 78. Maybe I want to do gun. Watch, there'll probably be more. Oh, 13. See? So
Watchdog said, look at 4201 disorderly conduct and 3815 interference, way too broad.
Okay, so BZ
got buried in the chat.
Yeah, so BZ, let me show you something. I'm actually already all over that. I'm going to show you some of the bills that I've written here. Here's the interference bill that I wrote that I'm looking for sponsors on, and I've got a few that are good. So this is 3815, the interference bill, which I think is unconstitutionally broad right now, as shown by the fact that it's very easy to convict somebody for no reason whatsoever. I just had a client convicted on this, and we're in appeal right now. But what I wrote is I changed it. I get rid of the words speech only, create a colon, add 3 subsections. So I keep, obviously, the speech only. This is not considered interference. The mere presence of the defendant at a place he had a right to be without physical interference is a defense, and he's engaged in constitutional activities. So that fixes, I think it fixes the disorderly conduct statute. Actually, no, this is the interference. Hang on. That constitutes interference with the duties of a peace officer. I have the version I saved as a PDF. I think I accidentally saved over this. Interference with the duties of a peace officer. Let me just save this the correct way. Anyway, that's my interference bill. And then I also have a disorderly conduct bill that I've got a sponsor on. And this adds under 4201 because of the 4201A8, which says it's disorderly conduct to carry a firearm in a manner calculated to cause alarm. This adds a subsection H and says, unless other facts or circumstances that indicate a criminal or malicious intent on the part of the person apply, a person is not in violation of and may not be charged with a violation of this section for carrying or going armed with a firearm or a knife without regard to whether the firearm is loaded or the firearm or the knife is concealed or openly carried. I know that's a lot of words for just saying if all he's doing is carrying a firearm absent other circumstances that indicate criminal or malicious intent, it's not disorderly conduct. Just because someone calls and says, oh, I'm alarmed, that's not alarm. So this is the legal way of saying that. Okay, I know it's wordy. This is why our laws are the way that they are, because you've got to put all these little commas and kind of cover every aspect, or else a police officer is going to try and find a way around it. All right, so that's the disorderly conduct, or the well, it's disorderly conduct, 4201A8, and it just adds that section. Now, that said, BZ, there's another bill, and I don't have it here. I don't think. I don't have it here, but there's another bill that completely really just gets rid of the disorderly conduct statute, because each of those subsections in the disorderly conduct statute of 4201 is already a crime elsewhere. And so this really just kind of cleans up the penal code, I think. And I'm just going to get rid of all that, except for the carrying a firearm in a manner calculated to cause alarm. But I think that's covered under the deadly conduct statute anyway. So there's also another bill just completely abolishing 4201, but I know that lawmakers like their laws, and they're unlikely to just repeal an entire section. So, and then this is a bill I wrote that we just got sponsored. That just like the suppressor, the Texas Suppressor Act that we got passed a few years ago, this one also legalizes short-barreled rifles and shotguns in Texas as long as they were manufactured in Texas. And so I wrote this bill. This is the only one that's kind of long because of the fact that it touches so many different areas of our law that we have to fix. And so this is the short-barreled rifle. It essentially legalizes short-barreled rifles and takes away from 4601 as unlawful carry, or 4602, excuse me, as unlawful firearms. And so that's what this bill does. I mean, this is the only one I've ever written that's 5 pages long, but it's because you've got to really define what's a short-barreled rifle, what's a short-barreled shotgun. You've got to make sure it doesn't get engaged in interstate commerce to overcome the federal exemptions, just like with the suppressors. I've got some Texas-made suppressors as well that are not registered because they're Texas-made. And then I don't know why that keeps coming up. This one here is a bill that we wrote. I mean, this is just so sometimes what I do is I send through, I didn't write this one actually. This was sent to me, but I've got a better version of it. That gets rid of 51% signs. You know, I've been in places. First of all, you can already carry into a 51% establishment if you are a special person that wears a piece of 10 on your chest, or used to wear a piece of 10 on your chest. You're retired, or you're one of these exempted type people, and you don't see them shooting up places, despite the fact that licensed gun owners are more law-abiding than the law enforcement community, but at a ratio level. So this just gets rid of this this idea of 51% establishments, because if I don't drink, why can't I go into a bar? I'm not drinking. But even if I do drink, what if I'm only having one drink and that's it? Doesn't make me any less safe with a gun. So that would abolish this bill. And this is just what I'm working on right now. It also gets rid of the 51% places. So, all right. Other than that, I'm going to let you guys go. I've got some work to do, and I've already lost an hour, so I need to make up that hour somewhere. Yes, I was listening to Morgan Wallen. And if you guys have, I think I got all your questions while you were in there. How many have personal protection device? I do. All right. If President vetoes bill, it will go back to Senate to override veto. Wait, which bill is this, Rebel Studio? I'm not tracking that. I know that knives, swords, etc. are legal now, but where does the law change that they can't be seen as weapons anymore? All right, and I think I got everything else here. Wisconsin. Something about Wisconsin. Wisconsin Dells, Wisconsin petty deaf. I do not understand what News with Guts is saying here. Cyber theft is daft. Okay, I don't know what that is. I don't like 4201 at all. I think it's unconstitutional. In many ways it is, despite the fact that there's case law, especially on the use of language And despite the fact that the courts have found that it's not unconstitutionally broad as long as it relates only to fighting words or defamation, which are not protected under the First Amendment, but yet cops don't care. I mean, I will give you an example. I was at a courthouse. I won't say which one. And the officer trying to stop me from carrying my firearm into the courthouse, despite the fact that I proved I was allowed to. And because did you know, I mean, anyone can carry a gun in a courthouse if a judge issues a letter saying you can carry a gun into the courthouse. So just so you know, I mean, that's in the law, but they didn't want to recognize my exemption under 4615. And at one point the screeners brought up their supervisor and some other deputy. And I was talking to the supervisor, and the other guy said something, and I said, so I don't give a fuck what your policy is. And the guy's like, you need to watch your mouth. And I was like, go fuck yourself, And I just kept saying, fuck you, go fuck yourself. It's free speech. I can say fuck all I want. And I was like, what are you going to do? You going to try and arrest me? You can't arrest me. It's free speech. And so the problem is they try to use the disorderly conduct statute. They don't know what it is. They just try to throw things around, but it's kind of funny. They probably would have arrested me before I became an attorney, but they all sort of hesitate now because, hey, I've gotten some paydays since being an attorney just from where I've had my rights violated. Not only do I sue for other people, I sue. I love you too, Chris. All right, goodbye. You guys take care. Be safe. Be free. I'm going to end this. It's 2 hours. Thanks for hanging with me for those of you that did. And I'll see you next time.